give us that color again? Color yellow? I know your hair wasn't yellow. Show us what color your hair was, Anne.
I heard west.
Because that's what it says.
Like, there's tails of Blackbeard around this area, so like things about Blackbeard will show up. And I'm not, when I say this area, I'm talking like within a block away, like specific locations. So again, take that for what it's worth. I don't always tell those stories because, again, I want to get to the investigation and just telling you guys stories. If something comes up about Blackbeard, I definitely go into it. See where we are and what we got. You got any orbs in there now, Dusty Tim?
Not that I can see.
You know what's funny is my entire group last night was filled with teenage girls and they all called me Uncle Nick, so don't feel bad. It's not so bad.
I'll just call you Uncle Monkey.
Oh. You know, well, we are next to the church. We will get religious terms. We did get something from heaven. Yeah. So I'm not surprised at those, but we normally get things like pastor, Bible, preacher. You know, we get very specific things that are relative to it.
How the heck? It's crazy.
And what's funny is all of your data will stay on my website for an entire year, reset. It'll stay up there for a year. So if you want to go back and look at a specific date, go back and look at it. And recently I started like grading them, so I kind of knew where the most active places were. So there's always going to be a number at the top or at the bottom of your data set, so that way I know like how active that actual was. And at the top, I keep track of like what the most active was for the month. So if you want to see, like right now, it's July 6th was the most active tour for the month. So that way you can scroll straight down to July 6th and go see what happened in there versus what happened in yours.
Okay.
I thought that would be like kind of fun for somebody that really wants to dive into. Like,
Yeah, the tour that keeps on going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my website is giantly ridiculous. Like there's so much data in there. Like I don't know how I keep track of it, but if I didn't organize it the way I do, like I'd be lost because there's so much going on in there. The field guide is set up exactly the way your data is set up. So at the top it'll say I had to listen to the EVP audio, then the spirit box audio. What did I want to have sex? Want to have sex? We are talking about a woman who had 4 different lovers.
Wow.
4 different lovers. What do you got now?
Die Hard and House Party.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
I heard Nicki Minaj, but I figured that was
Ray, you got anything? Ray? I feel like I'm on Ghostbusters. Ray? You can't hear me at all. You got any numbers coming up at all? About average for that location. Again, you got a lot going on here with the pulse on the left. Going to emit a little bit. Parts per meters, that kind of mentality.
I heard you had blood.
I've got a lot of killing stuff going on.
Our family's not violent.
Constantly switching stations, and it's easier for them to pick up the signal, or?
So, I look at it again like the bumblebee piece. It's almost like they can predict what's coming, or they're going to reach out and grab it and make sure like there's enough for it to come through to be able to come close and be able to bring that out. But the amount of times I've done this, it's not a coincidence that I get the same common things all the time. And I've been able to spout off what a 7 is, what Rogers is. But again, here's that if you mention something. Now, with that is relevant to a point. Most pirates were Africans. You have to remember what pirates did. They stole ships filled with cargo. What was cargo? Slaves. They gave them a choice. Become part of our crew, or we'll move you on to the Americas where you'll become a slave. What do you think they did? They became pirates. So, not uncommon to see them.
That's very thin.
Dusty Tim?
Tim.
Just thin.
Alright, so let's rein it in, because I think you guys have, like, you have a lot for me to go through, especially with, like, trace and all of those weird killing things that you guys got going on. So, I am going to start collecting devices.
Oh, I heard money, too.
For these money and treasure, for a lot of things that go through here. excited about, let me tell you what I'm excited about. There was the knife piece, obviously relative to here. We didn't get the color red that we were hoping for, but who knows, maybe I'll hear it in one of the recordings. The word Rogers is very exciting because that means I get to explain something else that you guys didn't already know, or at least from the story that I told. So that's showing you like this is legit. As far as your word list, again, I don't have a whole lot other than that African American piece as a first clue. So I might have to look at something else.
Flood, that would be the same blueberry with flood.
Oh, it was flooded. We were flooded yesterday. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the audio. That's kind of going to give you guys the gist of how much data you're going to get back. By the way, did everybody see the crazy IR camera video that I just showed Dusty Tim? All right, so let me bring that up real quick so you guys get a chance.
He's got it on his phone.
I heard Spirit is due at, and then it cut off.
I was like,
You're going to recognize the space because we're standing at it right now. So I'm going to have the volume turned down. Basically what's going to happen is on your side it's going to be an orb coming through this way and then going up behind my back. Really? Facebook? Good job, Facebook. Right about here and go up. Oh yeah, there it is. Again, second night, third night we are using that camera. I can't remember, but those are the things I'm looking for when I spot check the video.
when he was looking in the alley, I thought I saw something.
And this is what camera that came from. So it's the same one. The second one is in Lodge Alley, ironically. So it's going to be pretty small in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah. That's where I think I saw it.
I mean, it goes by real fast, but it's still there. And that camera is slowed down, so that way we can actually analyze it brain by brain. So when I say we, my wife obviously is a graphic design and photography. That was one of the bachelor degrees we're in. So that's why we kind of partner up. If I can't explain something, then I bring it over to her. And we use a digital camera on this floor too. Obviously not as exciting as the devices you have. So those are 8, 9, and 10 when I have those people. So again, the laser lights are part of that as well. And then there's an old school spirit box that I'm sure you guys have seen on the TV shows, the SB7. But it is very hard and difficult to hear because it's open air and it's not as loud as that one. So it's almost like you got to put it to your ear. Like it's really difficult to hear. And I tried different type of. All right. So at this point, I did not stop the. I didn't stop the audio. I'm going to tell you how much data you're going to get back out of me tomorrow morning. I'm usually done between 12 and 1, depending on how much research I need to do on some of the extra things that you guys gave me. This was an awesome group. I will tell you, this was about average of what I normally see for first kind of verifiers. Again, it's actually kind of a nice relief because I have not been seeing that lately. It's been pretty light the past couple of weeks, and I don't know if it's based on the people that I've had, because that sometimes can put a damper on things. But when I have a light tour, it could be because of nasty storms coming. I have, oh, look at that. I don't time this, by the way. It's an hour and 59 minutes, exactly. So I don't even look at my watch until I'm looking at your data. But it's just kind of funny that it turned out to be almost exactly 2 hours. So that's definitely going to give you that 6.5 to 7 hours worth of data grand total. So again, you're going to have, with all the links I'm going to give you and all the reading, you have like an 11-hour workday ahead of you. Like, again, this is what you guys paid for. You wanted to see what a real investigation was, I gave it to you. And normally these were mini investigations. Normally we would spend this amount of time in one spot. And not just 2 hours, or probably closer to 4 to 6. So that's how long I would spend in one area to get enough data to be able to collect it and see what's going on there. But again, your top of your data set is going to have a lot of information at the top and a lot of help. What other crazy questions do you guys have? Because you guys have done quite a bit of asking of questions throughout the night, which kept me on my toes for
How
sure.
does this pick up work? Like, how do the voices?
Perfect. Great question. You see the numbers at the top left? It's saying that those are radio frequencies, and it's picking it up the exact same way that the other spirit boxes are working from. Now, I will at times see a word in the relative same time spot as when I'm researching that. It will be relatively at the same time. So there is some legitimacy there. So again, when I came up with this theory of how do I get people to actually listen to this, I researched this guy, because this is what I was already using on my own. You have 80 terms, which is a little bit higher than normal, so that's good. Lots for me to go through, obviously. I'll only highlight the terms that I feel are relevant. Sometimes those terms are relevant to one of you and one of you only. And that's why I give you the whole list. I don't know that your cat's name is Snowball. So again, you might have Cat and Snowball on the same screen. I don't know that about you. So that's why you get the full list back. And if you do find stuff like that, that's why you guys will have my email and phone number. Get a hold of me. Tell me what you got going on. Okay, I got it. See what he was listening to all night, guys? I'm doing the exact same thing. That's funny. Alright, I would take yours. Nice work, by the way. Nice slow movements. And I didn't mean to point you out like I've never given this to a woman before earlier. After I said it, I was like, wow, that's kind of a
I won't hold it again.
The reason I do this is because it's really high technology, and if I had a skeptic, this keeps him busy. So again, money. He was an attorney back home in Ireland, and he saved up. So he bailed out Anne, brought her back home. She remarried. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. Yes, we're going to count Mary Reed because we're not sure. And she had 4 kids and died at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending. Yes, I know, but there's not much about Anne Bonny after her pirate career. As far as Mary Reed goes, she died in a Jamaican jail a year later in 1721 from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination on that one. I'm sure it's pretty nasty. So, I left out 2 questions that you can ask to kind of get you started. You all know what you're doing by now. You've been with me for a few hours. So, here's how this is going to go. We are going to spread out, and the 2 questions I left out are the name of Anne Bonny's parents. I did that one on purpose. That's something I can prove for certain. And the name of Calico Jack's ship. So again, you guys didn't give me any clues to either one of those 2 questions. Remember that the parents are the father and the mistress, but I am going to keep you for one more minute because there's a reason why I give you that heated warning at the beginning, at the top of the tour. So, back in September of last year, I brought my team back here, just like where we are now. Nice, cool night, nobody sweating, and the kid next to me literally goes white as a ghost and is about to fall and hit his head on the pavement. So I have to pick him up by his armpit before he does that. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side. We get him over to that brick wall, which there's a little ledge there, which is where we're going to end up. I'm going to head over there after we're all done. We just got 15. That's when pirates are coming to town, 1715. So, could have also been the age, because again, speculative, pirates. So anyway, we get him over there, we get him a bottle of water, he's feeling better. I then tell him the story I just told you. Just like Danny's been predicting things, this was a prediction. After I spread everybody out to go play with their devices, they pull me aside and say, Nick, we have to tell you, we are 2 transgender males. Meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story. And it now makes complete sense to everybody on the team as to why one of them passed out the minute we entered the space. These are the weird, uncanny things on top of like the number 300 that I see pretty much on a regular basis. There's an uncanny thing that I just can't explain about once a month when I'm doing this. So again, keep that in mind. That's why I give these warnings. Psychics and mediums normally don't make it through this tour. The high EMF from the Pinky Mansion site, they're dropping like wet noodles. And then they don't tell me they're psychic until I gotta call a paramedic. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to do that. So again, like, I'm psychic, I forgot to bless myself, whatever they're supposed to do before they came to the tour. But again, that's why I kind of give that heated warning, because people have passed out, and that story is obviously relative to where we are. Now, we can spread out. Those of you with cameras, you can go to the front of the Powder magazine. The only thing I ask is you don't get in the way of other tours. I am not going to go up front. I already know what it looks like up front, but if you want to get us some footage to capture some orbs, and if you want to go up there to capture any kind of cold anomalies, now some kid that was using that camera the other night, he would have swore his life that he caught a cold anomaly, and I could not find it. My daughter was on the tour that night too, and she come over and she's like, it's not there anymore. I witnessed it too. So again, uncanny things happen with your camera in this space. Weird spot. EMF, you're not going to get a whole lot of numbers. It's all about the colors. The funny thing for you, Elizabeth, is I want you to ask Anne what color her hair is, and maybe you can actually get the right answer. Obviously, this is an Irish woman. I'm sure you can assume that it's red. It's okay to judge at this point. But the color red would mean somebody has to touch that antenna to make it go red. That's the only way to get that color out of that device, and I've never seen it up until 2 weeks ago when I was working with somebody and I said, hey Ann, why don't you tell us what color your hair was, because I know it's significant. They were also using a spirit box with somebody else in their party, and I was expecting that of that. Instead, it showed up there. Now, the next night, we tried the same question, and it actually came up on your spirit box. The next night we tried it again, it showed up on your spirit box. It's just funny that you guys are right in a row. So again, when I say it comes up plain as day, second night I've ever used that device, and I'm collecting it, somebody's handing it to me, and it says pirate, plain as day.
Oh, that's
and they were standing close enough to the thermal imaging camera where we actually had the audio from it. We all heard it, but of course, the proof is always in the pudding, right? So that's I was super stoked. That's why yours is always so exciting. And it wasn't like the Pittsburgh Pirates. It wasn't like part of a sentence. It was like, pirate. Like, it was like, okay, I'm not a pirate. But yeah, let's spread out. Last
There's been
hurrah.
like a ton of words this whole time.
I'm going to probably talk to you first then. But yeah, let's get those cameras rolling. stay out of the other tour's way, and
Whatever
I'm going to start
they
heading
do is
towards that wall. You guys go wherever you want to
Alright.
Other than sunset, well,
hit the word list.
I'll walk with you. I want to see the cameras.
I'm gonna walk around there and around the edge of the building. You wanna walk with me?
First victim.
Is it smelling it over there too?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's bad smell.
Those are the people I know that are like, they're writing stuff down for me. So let me show you some craziness that I've gotten with that camera. Let's see if I can pull it up on the tablet. The tablet likes to make that video go dark. I'll play it. So I told you that's an upgraded camera. So the first or second night I'm using it, I caught this craziness. Maybe, what did I do? Did I delete it? I may have deleted it because I was having a hard time playing. Let me pull it up on my phone. So of course I posted it to Facebook. It draws more people in. There's Kathy's text that says we are here.
Yeah, there you go. We're here. In case you were wondering.
I got it on my. I was like 2 minutes away from you. Where do I want to go? Facebook. With that camera, because it has. Oh, I didn't even turn those on tonight. Holy cow! I forgot they were even there. A little brighter for you now.
No, yeah.
It has 4 infrareds
Oh,
built into
okay.
it. Yeah. So if you turn it around and take a look at it, like you'll see 4 right here.
Oh yeah,
and then there's 20 up here.
Okay.
And this thing is probably scorching. Like, what's the temperature? Can you get a temperature read on this torch for me? Use your center crosshairs. Like, if that thing's not 200 degrees, I'm a monkey's uncle.
It says 129.
I would have thought it was much higher than that.
Hmm.
I guess I'm a monkey's uncle. But yeah, that thing.
Which monkey?
George.
George. Feels like a jungle.
I got Coffin over there. Love, celebrity.
So this is exactly where we're standing now. Watch right here. As soon as it wants to come up.
What?
Do you see how it changes direction?
Yeah. Goes. It's horizontal, then goes vertical a little bit.
It's almost like it stopped. It paused and said, "Nope, Nick's right there. I'm
And
gonna go
up and
up."
around. Crazy.
Second night we had that guy, I was so stoked. The next one is from Lodge Alley. It's pretty small, but it's still. Come on, see if it wants to play. Obviously, I'm a little bit of a production artist. It's gonna be down here in the lower right.
Okay.
It's very small.
Yeah.
But the fact that it went away in the frame
Yeah.
is really one of the criteria that I use. Did it generate in the frame and did it exit in the frame? Instead of like going outside.
Right.
Because normally 9 times out of 10 I'll just say those are bugs. Even those small ones, they have to
But
generate
when they
in the frame.
disappear in the frame,
Yep.
yeah, it's.
So I mean, again, that one obviously, and then it just disappears. Just goes out of nowhere.
That's crazy.
How's your guys' spirit boxes going? You guys heard noise and wanted to know what the hell we were doing, didn't you? You were writing stuff down. Awesome.
I got first victim.
Okay.
I got grace, angel, and the word warning twice. I heard from heaven, which goes with the angel, but I also heard like Roger's Wrangler.
Rogers?
Roger's Wrangler. Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Then I heard served, and he is next of kin.
I don't know who Grace is, but I'm going to write it down anyway.
What's that?
I don't know who Grace is, but I'm actually going to put it in there just so I can dive into it. Here's why Rogers is so significant. Calico Jack actually created the original skull and crossbones that is affiliated with the Jolly Roger. So, again, you guys are doing amazing, by the way. What do you got on yours?
Blood on mine.
Something about forest. Remember or search the forest or something. That's about it. I heard it's the only way.
Calico Jack is a sword. It is a sword. Yeah, Roger actually shows up here a lot, and that's why I don't tell you guys everything. Ooh, that's good. Reset it. I'm sure you guys noticed, like, I'm not a bunny free person where I can pack you guys all in. So I am going to take 1 minute of bragging rights on the wife for just a second before you guys start your video cameras, whatever you're doing. We're going to get into the history of that little building. The logo that brought you guys here was actually designed by my wife. She does all my book covers, and she just designed new shirts for my guests that actually have the logo on the front, and on the back it says, "I went ghost hunting in Charleston, South Carolina."
Oh, very cool.
In the same cool cemetery font. That'll be at the top of your data page, along with the podcast for those of you that are actually mentioning or asking me about my investigations prior. They're all up there. Not all of them, because I have 4 cases in my desk I haven't just been able to go through yet, because I'm so busy with you guys. But again, just wanted to point that out of what to expect at the top of your data page. I don't normally do self-plugs, but you guys have been all very cool about things tonight, and this has been an awesome group. Elizabeth, you're like so quiet to me. Like, I'm still trying to figure you out. So
She sits back, listens, and
I see
figures
that.
out.
And I just worry, because every once in a while she'll kind of like drift for a second. Is she okay? Is she gonna pass out? This is a place, by the way, where people have passed out on me. We will discuss that after the Anne Bonny bit. So I'm sure you noticed there's a million tours around here. Did you guys hear or see anything before I get started?
Camera.
She got criminal and I got unreputable.
Then I got,
too.
as we walked in, I got Cameron, Story, Heart, and right now it says okay.
Well, we did hear I want a kiss, right?
I heard a kiss too. Is falling for a kiss.
Wow. And then you have
I had Heart, Cameron, right now it says okay, Criminal.
So if I were to name this tale that I'm about to tell you, it's called The Many Lovers of Anne Bonny. Like, so all of these things with the kiss and the criminal, she was a freaking pirate, for God's sake. So again, it all ties, again, we're going to see if we get anything a little bit more specific. The word kiss coming up twice. I will see if it shows up 2 more times, because there are 4 lovers that we're going to be discussing. So let's get into it. I'm going to put the bag down, because again, I'm sweating hot. So, and you still have the audio recording, because it's pretty close. So, first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing the little tiny building up there with the crosses on it. That's the powder magazine. So, first off, those are not crosses. I'll point out, those are earthquake bolts. So, we talked about the big earthquake of 1886. So, the gist behind those is that they're turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, which we have not, by the way, we've had little tiny ones. We had one just a few months ago, by the way. I felt it at home, an hour from here. Pretty crazy. But they say you can actually turn those turnbuckles and it'll straighten the building back up again. That's the gist of them. It's a great idea, but it doesn't work.
No.
So, the reason I bring these up is because this is the first set of earthquake bolts that Charlestown actually put in. Why? Because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because of the time frame of this building being built. This is around the same time frame that Anne Bonny actually came to Charleston. So,
I just heard knife engraved.
do you know anything about this story at all? Holy shit. So, hang on to Knife. That's a good one. He's like our psychic. I need to give him a job. So, Knife is definitely relevant here. So, with that said, and we're back here because all the other tours cut through. That's why, and before we actually start investigating. But this is almost the same principle of like using a toy to attract a child ghost, like I mentioned earlier.
Right.
We call this a familiar, right? Because we don't have many buildings this old. So again, that's part of the reason why we're here, in hopes that we're going to come across Anne Bonny, which it sounds like we actually are going to, based on what you guys are telling me. Now, we talked about the Charlestown walls earlier too. Do you guys remember that back at Lodge Alley? Where that garage is sitting, that's where the wall stood, on Cumberland Street. So it went up past the Powder Magazine and then started going south behind me towards the Battery. So it's locked into the walls of the town on purpose. It's protecting the gunpowder. It's the furthest thing away from the water that they can actually get. Why? Because if a pirate ship or Revolutionary warship is going to attack it, the cannonballs are going to have a hard time making it this far, let alone if they do, the walls are 32 inches thick. So it's going to have a hard time penetrating it to blow up the gunpowder. But we're going to pretend that it does. Cannonball comes in, blows up the gunpowder. There's sand underneath the roof of that building that goes up in the air with the explosion to fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder to save the building. Another great idea that doesn't work. We had another Powder Magazine closer to the Battery. It did get hit because it's much closer to the water if you know our geography. And the sand went up and the building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist. This one has just never been attacked. Oh, speaking of, the number 7 that we had earlier, we had 7 years old.
Yeah.
So 7 shows up from Philadelphia Alley to here a lot. We're going to get a lot of bleed over. So first off, the doctor's birthday is July 7th, 7-7. So if we get doubles, it's normally relatable to him. Over here, we have 2 relative numbers to the number 7. The Powder Magazine that I just spoke of has served in 7 different wars and 1 rebellion. Behind me is the eastern side of St. Philip's Cemetery, where John Calhoun, your 7th vice president, his sarcophagus remains. So, in the month of March, I will talk about John Calhoun because that's when he died, and that's also when he was born. We get a lot of things around 7 and his birthday around March. So again, I don't normally discuss him unless it's the month of March. So, back to the Powder Magazine. Now that you guys know how, basically, the history of it and why it's so important to Charleston, let's talk about why we're here. This building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? 10 years, small building? No, not at all. Sorry, Elizabeth. Just remembered who was in her company. But at any rate, the story actually begins right in the middle of this building's construction. So 1708. Follow me. You guys have been doing great so far. There's a lot of twists in this one, as I'm sure you can imagine. Lots of lovers. 1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She's with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? Okay, good. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. Notice if I said that all very quickly, you'd all be saying, can you repeat that? Yeah, again, just imagine. So, how mad was she that they left Ireland and had to leave to come here? Like, how pissed off was that shouldn't be ex-wife. But anyway, they come here, they land in Georgetown, which is basically, just north of here, between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation in that area, and Mom dies pretty quickly. So he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. She's good with this. Oh, no, I talk about why she's, kind of weird in Ireland. This is the knife bit. Back home in Ireland, when they still lived there, it is said that Anne, when she was only 10 or 12 years old, killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly. Oof. So again, the word knife definitely relevant here. So very interesting that word actually showed up. But she's kind of a badass, and I'm sure you're getting that just because we're talking about pirates. But I want you to have that mentality of this young lady as I finish your story. So, we're going to fast forward. The building is done in 1713, and pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne's going to fall in love. She's about 16, 17 years old at the time. We're guessing, of course, because it's pirate lore. And she falls in love. First guy, his name is James Bonny. You can already see where this one's going because we've already mentioned the name Anne Bonny. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica, they get married, and Cormac becomes Anne Bonny. Now, when they get down there, James Bonny is not the Captain Jack Sparrow she was hoping for, right? Because we all know who Captain Jack Sparrow is. This is not him. He's a privateer, meaning he's a spy for the British. This is not the guy she wants. So a few years later, she falls in love again. This is literally the Captain Jack Sparrow that was based off of the character. His name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the person that they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of for your Disney films. Just so you know, the real pirate. Now, Calico Jack does have his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it. However, girls curse pirate ships. Can't put a girl on the crew, so he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, it's a man's world, let's do this. I want to be a pirate. let's put 2 and 2 together. We're all adults. She's being a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, right? So basically what happens is he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine. They'll help you with the birthing. Come back later. We'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the baby. Again, no matter what book I've read, dozens at this point, tell me what happened to that child. And she's also dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty angry because now everybody's going to know that he had a girl on the crew. So while she was away giving birth to his first child, there's another pirate crew that he captured down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. We're on guy number 3 in case you lost track. Now, guy number 3 turns out to be a female just like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed as males on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to know for certain. But the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks to try to defend the ship, because they probably don't know how to use the cannon jet. They're still too new to being a pirate. Now, obviously, 2 ladies defending the ship is not going to work out against a whole fleet of ships. They get arrested. And as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." Now, the word dog, obviously very prominent on her spirit boxes. The judge, who had the word judge? Where did that come up?
Just before we got to this
Okay,
one.
the judge. He has the same name as me. So if Nick or Nicholas shows up, it's usually relative in one of 3 different ways. We'll talk about it if it shows up in another way. But he wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly by themselves. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates. They're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front, hoping to save themselves as females, and he doesn't care that they're females because they did reveal their gender. They're still pirates in his eyes. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they claimed, hoping, because they're claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. They're hoping to save themselves one last time. So he says, fine, we'll delay the hanging till after the pregnancy, and he sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here. I normally have the cameras against the wall. I'll try to stay out of your way. But you're going to be filming the alley behind me. As I'm sure you can see, there's a lot of foot traffic here, and you're going to see tours go in and out. Did we hear or see anything along the way?
I heard stole it, separated from God, and freedom.
Wow, that's a lot going on there.
A little bit.
It's a whole story by itself, man. Good job. Kathy, got anything on your word list?
It says please, said liver, blanket,
Liver?
liver,
I don't think I've ever seen that word on
yeah,
there.
judge,
Judge is good.
judge just came up.
Judge is because we're getting close to the next place. You guys are like all psychics tonight, I swear. The judge is, we're going to be talking about a judge at the next location. So, very crazy. All right, so where are we? This place is called Philadelphia Alley. It used to be called Dueller's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, sorry, I'm like right in your way. So, here's how the story goes. Every ghost tour goes down there. It's a staple for Charleston. However, you're ghost hunting, so I'm going to tell you the story a little bit differently because you need different details. So, again, here's how this one goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Now, Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. So she has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. So as he's coming into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It was a very abrupt start to his stay in Charleston, we'll just say that. But somebody was walking by and seeing what was going on because he knew the coachman. His name is Ralph Isaacs. We're going to stop on Ralph because, again, you're ghost hunting. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. R.I. shows up here a lot. We just need a secondary clue so we know who it belongs to, because I just gave you the 2 main characters of this history. So, him and Ralph, well, I guess take a step backwards. I almost jumped ahead. You're supposed to stop me. You know the story. But Ralph tells him, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try and kill you. There's a gunman inside. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You could stay there and rent a room and you'll be good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer and they become friends. So, the longer the doctor is here in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's doing pretty well for himself. So that means Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because he literally whistled all the time. This is the late 1700s. Yes, that was a thing for a happy person to do. I know it sounds weird. So, I'll get into the campfire ghost story part of this, but the Whistling Doctor is the name of the story when you Google it, just so you guys know. But anyway, him and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because now the Doctor makes more money than him. He gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. And one night they go see Shakespeare's Richard III, and they're walking home talking about the play. The Doctor thought the new actress in town was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. It turns into a very heated argument when Ralph starts insulting the Doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways after being pretty pissed off at each other. Ralph, being from here, puts an ad in the newspaper, tells the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the Doctor. Kind of a disgrace to society kind of mentality. You get the gist. The Doctor sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Like, he's pretty ticked off. See, now you're getting warm.
Yeah.
So they come down, they take their 10 paces. The Doctor turns, points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just needed the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel. But Ralph, he has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the Doctor. The Doctor doesn't die. He drops to the ground. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember that this guy is a doctor. He probably tried to bleed this bullet out himself. That did not sound good at all, did
No,
it?
it didn't.
No idea what that was. Sounded like a headlight popping.
Yeah.
But, so, the campfire part of this story is that every other ghost story will tell you is as you walk down the alley, you can hear the whistles from the Doctor. Now, if you're going to try this on your own, use your voice recorders from your phone. Keep in mind, every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night on my way home from you guys. So we're going to end up there. My garage is right there. I throw a whistle down the alley. My daughter's on the tour. We race to see who's going to throw it first. Just kind of a little game we play. They also say you can hear gunshots. Lo and behold. But again, I don't have any proof of that, but I do have some very faint whistling in the background from when I used to take my teams down there all the way through. So here's how I got booted out of there. This is the fun part. Let me make sure there's no around. That's a tour. No big deal. So here's what happened. This alley didn't always come all the way through, which means the bricks on the other side are older. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children, meaning they had to turn them like every hour to bake them in the sun. There's a full handprint and fingerprint swipes at the end of this alley. I'm sure you guys picked up on by now that I'm all about the history, and I would always show them off because it's a part of our history and shows how far we've come, right? You're in Charleston, you're going to hear about slavery. However, my groups always want to huddle around that damn brick with the handprints in it and try to get an EMF reading or a spirit box or whatever. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. None of you are going to hang out near your grave. That kid's not staring at the brick in the afterlife. So, here's what happened on November 26th of 2020. My entire group of 10 decided to huddle around that brick, and it's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion at the end of this alley. He saw us out there several nights prior and was just fed up. He come out screaming. Again, my daughter London thought it was great because I'm getting screamed at, and we moved on. November 27th of that year was Thanksgiving, so we did not have a tour. I finally took a year off. I worked in retail for over 20 years. I'm sure y'all can appreciate me taking Thanksgiving off, and I worked for Walmart for a good part of that. Now you understand why I took Thanksgiving off. So with that said, the next day was November 28th of 2020. Yes, these dates are important. So November 28th, I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway from the tourism office or reroute my tour. Somebody complained, obviously. Not a big deal. I was out of bounds. So I took the hit and I said, I'm going to reroute, but I'm going to have to tell the story that I don't even believe in because it's technically myths and legends. So I told my team that night, we're going to wing it. I'm going to tell you what I know about this, and we're going to go on. We're going to be discussing pirates. I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate guy. You're going to find that out real fast. But anyway, before we leave this space, I tell somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating Anne Bonny. Kind of like how you guys have been doing the little preemptive things with your spirit boxes. Same thing. So I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. I went up there, I told a little bit of a pirate what I did know. You're going to find out I know a hell of a lot more now. And then we get up there and somebody else hears the number 300. I have no idea what that means in real time. I do my research the next morning for that team. We were there November 28th, 2020, like I mentioned prior. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was on November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So these are the kind of uncanny, I don't want to say bullshit that I see all the time, but it is like, God damn it, now I got to talk about pirates all the time. So I've read more books on piracy, watched more documentaries, movies, you name it, on pirates than I ever cared to have wanted to ever. So what you're going to find out is that location is a hit or miss. Anne Bonny is actually said to be seen all over town because she's familiar with the whole town. I'll explain why we look at that specific location once we get there. However, it is a hit or miss. We're going to know 5 to 10 minutes after I tell you the history of Anne Bonny in Charleston, based on the evidence that you're telling me. If nothing's there, we're going to end our night. If we are having something going on, we're going to huddle up like we did at the Pinckney Mansion site, and hopefully Anne's going to have a whole conversation. It's either a shit ton or nothing. That's the way this location works. So again, I know you would think that with every paranormal site, but the Pinckney Mansion site is pretty steady. So again, I can usually count on that to be a good location, even though I told you it's been light in some nights. So before we leave, did we see anything? And I know somebody's listening because I can hear it. I think
got
it's
35.
35.
Cook, sport.
Sport would be considered the duel, possibly.
Cook was kind of weird when that one came up. Like, I had goosebumps getting to the
All right, let's go up and talk about Crazy Pirates. Definitely continue listening on your spirit boxes. You can put your volume up. As far as those of you with the cameras, if you want to continue, you can. But we're going to be walking for another block until we get to the next space. Otherwise, you can turn them off and give your hands a break. Up to you. It's your tour. It's going to be your footage. Not collecting for me. I got Caroline, Tom, and I just heard fiery. Fiery. Alright, Treasure Tavern, River Tavern. Go ahead and mute yours because we're next to our hotel room. Any words or names show up on yours? Okay. Alright, so nothing where I'm like super shady except for possibly zombies. So where zombies kind of come into play too. So let me kind of get into the explanation here. First off, we're next to a hotel room. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. But what's funny was last night, this is where like the big gale of wind came through, and that's when the storm was about to start coming in. They were like, oh, it feels so good. I'm like, yeah, we're in Charleston. We're going to get dumped on. Move on. So let's talk about why we're here and what this place actually is. You would have to be sweltering right now.
No, I was actually close.
Wow. And you got the temperature. You know how hot it is out here. What's it say?
83.5.
83. Feels like 107. Right? Yeah, I guess so. So when we crossed that last crosswalk where we were kind of playing to the bachelorette parties, yeah, that's where the original Charlestown wall used to be. You're inside the original Charlestown city. Charlestown, really. And it was actually called Charlestown, not Charleston. Where you're standing is one of the first streets we ever had. So this is Lodge Alley. We're going to explain why it's called Lodge Alley, but let's get into why I asked you for names first. People used to live here. These two giant buildings we're looking at right now, they weren't here. So I have the full list of residents of every single person that's ever lived here. Here's where things get interesting. We're dealing with the paranormal in this location in theory only. Here's what goes on. The names I commonly hear are Benjamin and John. Very common names. And you would think, like, yeah, they're probably going to be on that list somewhere. First off, that list is not very lengthy, and only 2 to 5 people live down this alley at a time, at least on record. John's last name is Johnson. However, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here during a 60-year time span. John Johnson lived here at the same time as a man named Benjamin Hopkins. I have nothing other significance other than we get Ben, Benjamin, John, and Johnson all the time. Every 6 to 7 weeks, I'll get those names. What's weird is we're not even within the loop yet. We're on week 5, 6. Again, I haven't been able to pinpoint it just yet. You're dealing with the stone tape theory here. Here's what it basically says. You're standing on Belgian blocks, first off. Let me point that out. These bricks have been here since 1739, a couple of hundred years that we know of. They're made of granite. They are not supposed to have any electrical charge whatsoever. So, Elizabeth, I want you to pick any brick and put your device literally on the ground and tell me if you get any numbers. We're not supposed to have anything above a 1.1. That's the natural impact on the Earth. At times, we've been getting it all the way up to 15. That is a high number for a brick that's not supposed to have anything coming out of it. Again, I've been getting it within that 6 to 7 week loop only. Now, that's the weird part of this. Now, do you have any numbers at all, by the way?
Just 1.0.
Okay, so again, about where I said it's going to be average. So we're going to see if it grows. Go ahead and leave it there as I kind of give you the rest of the history of this location. Fine. Fine. They did find some of their tools and silverware after an archaeological dig in this location. So we will get like tool names and silverware names like fork or spoon, but we'll also have another clue because it will say like wooden, that kind of thing, because most of those tools would have been made out of wood, at least with a wooden handle. But the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here where 4 people lived here. So that's why it's called Lodge Alley. Before it was called Lodge Alley, it was called Simmons Alley. It was owned by a man named Simmons Alley. But at any rate, we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons from time to time. Mason, Freemason, Brick, but we'll get the word symbols and Illuminati that show up more often than anything else. Now first off, the word Illuminati will come up on the red scare boxes, so your two. First off, those are radio stations. Who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? Second, why am I only hearing it while we're in this space? And they've all been verified. 6 times last year, 3 times so far this year. Again, I can't make this shit up, guys. It is what it is. I have to do research to like find why we're hearing the word Illuminati. So, any other numbers showing up out of there? You can go ahead and pick up your device. We'll probably that's the highest it's going to go, which would be even Steven, so we're not going to count that on anything, and we'll be writing that now. I got 7 years old. We're getting close to a place where the number 7 is going to show up a lot. Wow, you're like the predictor. You're our psychic of the night, I think. 7 years old. Wow, very interesting. The next space we're going to go to is another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing here. Why? I've been kicked out. So you guys have all the blinky lights and the noisemakers, and it is considered residential at the end. It is out of bounds for tours, which is what I'm considered, unfortunately, not in state room. But I still tell the story, stirring up a lot of active activity, and the number 7 will be relevant there, and I will give you the reason why since it's already shown itself. Again, very interesting, and I wouldn't know these facts if it didn't happen all the time. I will also tell you how I got booted out of that place, because that's the fun part of the story that Danny wants to know. Is that he's staring at me like, I really want to know how you got in trouble. And my kid was with me that night too, which makes it even funnier. Yeah, she was on the tour. She was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, so she would have been 13 at the time. She thought it was hysterical, and Dad was getting screamed at. But anyway, we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next space. Again, this is a residual. We don't always expect something here. It is definitely something you should know about Charleston, basically on how the way the land is set up. But where we're going, we're cutting through a neighborhood, so you're going to cut off your videos once we exit. And again, you can ignore the readings from the parking meters on yours along the way as well. You're also going to get a reading from the building that we're going to be standing next to. We're also going to be seeing other tours at this point moving forward, the large groups. When we get to those points, I'll say for the cameras to be recording the alley very discreetly, just because the other tour groups did not pay to get filmed. You guys did. It's all going to you anyway. So again, we're going to be very discreet and not YouTuber. Like, you look like a perfect vlogger right now. You're like perfect hand still. I love it. So we're going to walk through the rest of this alley and let me know what you guys hear once we get to the next stop. Like 7 years old. But I'll have to dive into that because I know that actually occurred. I just don't know the exact year.
No, yeah.
Anything going on with your camera? He's like, nah.
I heard Philip. I think it was going to go into Philippines, but it cut off at Philip.
But Eliza's real name is her full name. What's kind of cool is the name Eliza will show up on Catholic.
On hers too, yeah.
Because of here in this location, pretty much 3 out of 7 I do. Like we'll get Eliza's name in this location on the whole list. Alright, I'm gonna go around one more time. You got any numbers, colors? Obviously I didn't hear any colors. You got anything going on?
Not anything yet, no.
I had it muted.
Oh, you got it muted, man.
I was listening to it when I was walking around. Yeah, when we were talking.
And any other words showing up on yours?
Ad.
Like a newspaper ad? No orbs showing up? Any bugs coming through? Probably plenty of bugs out tonight that we can't see.
Oh, nothing unusual. Everything looks.
Yeah, I haven't noticed a ton of bugs either, just with eye.
Yeah, but you will on there.
Yeah, they'll go right in my. Oh yeah, the infrared.
Yeah, they come up bright white.
I heard
I
3
would
and
like
singles.
put 3 and some.
Eliza, one last chance. Can you show us the color purple? Oh, her name's Elizabeth as well, too, but
Yep.
maybe she brought somebody with her. That happens.
Elizabeth.
It says Marines. We know we might actually have something going on. Because that's really the only thing I know about you, other than the fact that you're small. So, it says small Marine. Now we know we're in trouble. You have Charles? I don't have to break
Charles
that one
likes
down.
Elizabeth. No, I'm just kidding.
That's weird, Charles.
We had a Charles and a
I
Elizabeth.
heard no.
No, I didn't.
And Philip.
I don't know who Philip is.
I just got the question is why.
Which Charles is here with us? Can you give us a clue as to who you are? Can you tell us what year you got married?
I just heard in prison. Prison's always fun.
It's
It's
like the
actually
evil
relevant.
word I heard.
I heard
in the
cookie.
song.
You don't have any numbers showing up at all. Jeremy, do me a favor. Take a quick lap with Elizabeth around. See if there's any numbers that are going to pop up.
Legacy.
It's all very vague, but all very relevant. So it's just weird that you guys are giving me all these little tiny things.
I heard number and 4.
All right, guys, bring it on in back. All right. Any numbers at all?
Just there I heard number 4, and then walking to I heard 13.
All right. So, the ones that I'm looking at that are going to be somewhat relevant, and you're going to see how they are as I start going through this. The word emergency. My baby, obviously we already talked about that. Johnson's going to be relative to the next space. That's weird. I already kind of gave you my clue about the Queen, and then we had Elizabeth. We also had Philip in there too, so it's just weird that would be like our current Queen and her former. Yeah, weird. 3 singles. That's interesting. In prison. And number 4. Those are all the things that I'm looking at. They're like all very small, tiny clues. So let's kind of get into this and kind of see what's going on. Because your REM isn't giving us any motion, don't worry about turning off that white button. So again, it's still working. We know that. If we get the color purple that I've been asking for, obviously it just took her enough time to be able to show us what color purple that we were asking for. So at times, oh, by the way, those of you with cameras, if you want to kind of give your hands a break, hit your circle at the top and then hit your square on the left-hand side of your screen. Kind of give your hands a break. What do you got? Bitter. So whenever I break out the tablet, you guys don't need to like huddle around. I'll kind of go around the room so everybody can kind of see what's going on here. But I will always show you mugshots of like who we're dealing with. So these are the people you're hunting down. First off, this is Eliza Lucas Pinkney. This is the second wife that I just spoke of, like the big long story, the one who planted the indigo, obviously the blue dress. So Lucas being her maiden name that we were hoping to see on Kathy's word list, but we did not. The first wife was Kathy, Eliza Lamb Pinkney. So Lamb and Lucas were the 2 maiden names. This one, the second wife, married Charles when she was 22, he was 45. So again, not as bad as 12 and 25, but still kind of creepy. So we'll kind of take that for what it's worth. Now the word emergency kind of popped in my head. I was kind of waiting for something else to pop up around it because we almost had the full date of this occurrence. This is the only picture we have of the mansion. This is from the Great Fire of 1861. So that's where you threw me off when you said 61 earlier. So again, the only photo that we have of the mansion, 1861. Obviously the word emergency. Go ahead and hit your red circle. Kind of give your hands a little bit of a break. So we're gonna, I'll be filming her for just a few minutes as I kind of wrap up the rest of this. So you got, that's Eliza's business. Let's get into the weird stuff. So Ray, we're gonna start with yours. The mansion's not here anywhere, brother. Find out what happened to it, and then when did that happen? When we all spread out. So again, kind of keep that in mind because we're all gonna spread out. Everybody's gonna have like a set of questions. If you want to steal a question from another person's set, by all means do so. I'm just making it easy for you to remember each set of questions. What spirit box do you have? You're gonna go after, since you already heard the word baby, you're gonna go after the children. So you're going to ask how many children she had grand total and what their names were. That's it.
I heard 2021.
I normally don't count years. We're going to see how that plays out, just because it is somewhat relevant. The number 20, just so you know. But the reason I say don't ask any more questions, I didn't see any right here. That's once I was glancing down, so I'm going to hand you your camera back. Don't ask anymore because there is a tragedy, obviously dealing with a baby. Don't ask anymore, let her come to us and tell us how many, what the names were. As far as your spirit box goes, you're gonna get a weird set. So first off, I'm gonna give you the questions about how old she was when she got married or how old Charles was when they got married. But I'm also gonna tell you that Eliza that I just spoke of is the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. The first wife, Eliza, died in January of 1744, and he marries the one we just talked about with the indigo in May of 1744. 5 months later. Now, the interesting part of this whole scenario is that both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Find out which Eliza we're dealing with. And obviously the question of how old she was when she got married. As far as your questions go, ask anything you want to about her death. How old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So, those of you with 2 spirit boxes with earbuds, you have a dangling one. Feel free to share it with somebody else in your party, so that way their filming can get a little dry, right? So you never know what's going to happen, but you can help him basically figure it out. And if you want to share that earbud with somebody else in your party, by all means do so. The party of 5, if you guys want to intermingle your devices, by all means do so. Keep it within your party. So again, when you have a large party with this, I encourage you to try different things. All have different types of spirit boxes, looks like a camera, and you actually have, like you guys, the 5 of you could go out by yourselves. I am going to be working with Elizabeth, to show her how to use that motion sensor, but there are people like hanging outside their vehicle right now, so we're going to be very careful with the filming. We do not go in between vehicles either. People get a little funny about that. Most of these cars belong to people that work down here. They may come down here for their break, so just kind of keep that in mind too. But like there goes somebody now that works over at the candy shop. Because I recognize him. I'm down here every day.
I wasn't sure if he worked.
He worked.
Yeah, right. We said
You guys both heard the word baby. What was your question?
I was just gonna say, so do we know the name of the baby? Or
Oh, I have all the answers.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to say I'm Google for the Pinckneys. I will tell you I've read oodles and oodles of books on this family. So again, these are questions that we commonly get answers to. So if you go off the beaten path and go rogue, and you want to ask something different, just make sure it's something we can prove.
Yeah.
I can't prove feelings, other than the fact that she truly loved Charles. That's the only thing it's in writing, plain and simple. But anything else, like, hey, how did you feel about your kids? I can't prove that. So you heard he worked, is that what it was? And then you both heard baby.
Yeah.
Wow. So the baby thing is interesting. Elizabeth, do you have any numbers showing up?
Yeah, earlier when you were talking about their age difference, it changed to 7.0.
Okay, so at this point, we are going to escalate. I don't want to know anything below 7 at this point for this location. That way I'm not writing down a trillion numbers. So have you seen anything else other than a 7 and then back down to probably nothing?
7, 8, 5.
So we'll take the 5 as well. All right, perfect. And he worked. From this point forward, now that you guys all have the gist of how to listen to your spirit boxes, I'll only be writing down things that are relevant at this point. So again, the he work thing, I have no idea what that's relevant to, other than the fact that I just said he probably works downtown. So let's have some fun in here. Again, careful with your camera work, especially with these people out here smoking. Like, get that thing unmuted. The 2 of you with earbuds, crank them up, listen in, and of course you're going to be watching. So let's do this. All right, let me show you how to use this thing.
Yeah, come
We
on.
just get to walk around. That's
You,
cool.
you get to roll around. I'm just going to be behind filming in case something is around you.
First off, that's our area code, so I normally omit that, but I will tell you that the number of store running is within that. I'll give you that quick. So if
I heard 8 twice.
12.8.
Yeah, I got so you have to imagine because I'm out here every night putting numbers together. If it was box gate, it would be a number of things, but I got nothing in correlation.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Who else has got something? Daniel, what do you got?
Another female voice said by me. Might have put something about $1 million. Just heard bad guy.
Bad guy? Not really any bad guys. They're all politicians. I mean, take that for what it is. Anything going on with your work? Let me take a look. We're relatively close still to Big John, so you still get food still too. So, and it's
as I asked who was president.
That one is an odd one. I'm going to explain why in our next one. Remember the George Johnson. It's a weird one.
And now Charleston.
Charleston is common.
This is not Charleston already.
Right. Yeah. So I don't need to. Years, Charleston, and any kind of car dealer. Like I think those all out. Kia, Honda, Ford, none of that kind of stuff. Oh my god, I just heard cars. Yeah, you do. That's how they roll. Any other numbers from us? The highest one so far? You know the words popping up on yours? Any craziness going with your camera that you can see, Dusty Tim?
Nope.
I'm going to laugh my ass off with his middle name,
I
Tim.
know.
Is it not?
No, it's not Tim.
Okay.
It's Ray.
No, it's
Tim Allen.
I'm like bouncing. No, it's fine. I don't mind. It's just every group is a little bit different than the next. No colors coming out of that. Elijah, can you show us the color purple? You know how that box works. Show us the color purple tonight. Last night you showed us blue. Show us purple tonight.
I've heard Queen a few times.
Is there? Are you sure you want them? I heard it's the year it looked like.
249. How long ago was that?
That was when we were leaving the Red Barn.
Oh, yeah. Because I know at one point Eliza actually took all of her children to go meet the Queen. I just don't know what year that was. And it's a good possibility it would have been 1749.
Nice.
It's a possibility. Middle of the night, Space Street being right there. Now I said apparently a lot with that because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, even though I just brought it up again. So, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting?
Yes.
Yes.
Alright, we're going to go this way and get off this weird street corner.
I think Emily, you want to be on the right?
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Alright, so welcome to our first stop. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time here, just so we can talk more about your devices and I can let you know exactly where we are with examples. Welcome to the Big Red Barn. This is where we keep some of your horses for your carriage rides. Okay, you guys can probably smell them. I can't. I'm out here 7 nights a week, so take it for what it is. I know they're in there. This is the same red barn that held horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's the only history I have, and I made it that way on purpose, so that way we can talk about your devices. Keywords here being delivery, milk, eggs, and anything relatable to a stable. Let's talk about spirit boxes first. There's 4 of them in play. So, what's the first question everybody wants to ask a spirit box or a Ouija board?
Is anyone there?
Is anybody here? Right? So, in the event Danny hears no, that means somebody's here. So we are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. Even if you are a skeptic and you're here for fun, you're still curious to see if paranormal actually exists. So we're going to get it out of the details, not out of possible yes and no answers. When I'm training people how to use a spirit box in a location like this, I tell them to ask a question they already know the answer to. For example, if somebody's here, tell me what color the Big Red Barn is. Obviously, we are looking because Kathy has a word list. She's not listening, and listening for the color red. However, most of you are using song lyrics and DJs to be able to get conveyed messages back to us. The word red might not be available to that song lyric or DJ. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as a good acceptable answer. What color is the Big Red Barn? Blood. I'm good. However, most of the night, I'm going to require a minimum of 2 things happening from obviously more than 1 device at a time to be able to verify it and label it as paranormal. Another example. Let's say Kathy's word list has the word art on it. It doesn't mean anything over here by itself. But let's say Ray hears the number 40 on his spirit box. Put them together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you guys see where we're putting these clues together? It's almost like an escape room now, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Again,
So, like, why didn't you say John?
of course it did, because we're next to Big John's.
John, yeah.
So if we get Big John's number showing up somewhere else, that's obviously, like, you're going to hear me secondary verifier all night long. That's a great first clue. I'm going to wait for the second. So again, can't deny that we're next to Big John's. We just saw the big sign.
Exactly.
But again, I want to know that it's him, not just some random coinkydink that showed up on your spirit box. So that's the whole point of this. Cameras. Let's go on to those next. Now that the spirit boxes have a much better gist to kind of listen to them. Those of you with cameras, which there's 2 of you, we will be in spaces where there are vehicles and people walking around. First off, people don't like their cars to be filmed, and they don't like to be on a YouTube channel. So we are not going to be filming people or their cars. We're all adults here, so I don't think I have to reiterate this, but if I do an Andy's coming, that means somebody's going to their car and you're going to point your camera at the ground and you're just playing with a cell phone. So that one's easy. Let's start with yours, Heidi. So you're going to try to do 2 things for us because the way that camera is set up. So that camera is set up, obviously, to have that blue dot bouncing around. So you're going to try to keep the sky out of view. The reason why? There's no surface up there. It's always going to go up to the sky. So just do your best. Some places it's going to be impossible. The next thing you're going to try to do is keep one of us in view. The reason why? We're the hottest thing out here, literally. So again, when we have something that warm in the picture, much easier to find a cold spot when it's moving around, plus that 15-degree difference, because you're going to see the array of color. Yours is nice and easy. People in, sky out. You're a cameraman, Dusty Tim.
Yep.
So,
I like it. We'll go with it.
So again, nice slow movements. The slower, the better. At times, I'll say, let's stop your video. You already got yours. Basically, you have an orange square. Your button to stop it is on the way to the right. It's the circle. Again, it's dark out here. It's the only button that's a circle, but you got it. We're going to keep it running for quite some time through the next location, and then I'll say, all right, let's give your hands a break. Let's shut those videos down. So that'll be the cue. For those of you with spirit boxes, have you heard anything yet while we're standing here before we move on? Nothing at all? I know you kind of broke yours up.
Yeah, I had it on and off.
Elizabeth, I'm going to be working with you on the next location. Have you seen any numbers over here?
Yes, I was going to.
Yes. Up to 1.1 is natural. Whenever we're on any type of street where there's parking meters, expect it to go from 3 to 7, and I'll kind of debunk those for you ahead of time, based on usually the route that we go through. Speaking of the route that we may go through, so again, there's always a set pattern, but sometimes what you guys are telling me tells me that there's more evidence of other stories going on. We may go off the beaten paths tonight. I never know. So just kind of keep that in mind. It'll all be based on what you guys are telling me that you're hearing and seeing on your spirit boxes. So, is everybody ready to get away from ponies and football players and this very loud fan? Because I know I am.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that fan's annoying. I'm going to fall asleep too. Let's head over this way.
I think there's 49.
Not in Jersey number. But I like it. We might have somebody else in number 40. That would have been one of the years we played. We played from 47 to...
You good? Okay. Well, yeah, just...
That's North Pearson Page. Jeremiah, John. And I got goosebumps when I was standing right there.
Did you?
Really weird though.
I just have to say, your excitement is like contagious. Yeah. Like I'm just vibing off of you right now.
All right.
Because he's like all smiles, he's all bouncy. I love it. So anyway, welcome to your first parking lot. Let's go ahead and mute that for me, just so I don't feel like I'm screaming over top of it. I'm gonna put this down because it is very hot and sweaty out. And you guys left some gear in the bag, so we may have to bring that out later. So, welcome to a parking lot. Gorgeous place, right? By the way, if you guys don't know where to park by the time I'm done with you, I don't know how to help you. Like, you guys got issues. So I'm just gonna put it out there. This place used to be something. This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. So, quick layout of the land. I guess let me first interrupt and say, spirit boxes, all 4 of you, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. You will get the answers from your spirit boxes, and yes, I will withhold information purposely so you have a genuine experience. So, back to the layout of the land. In the front is where the mansion sat, facing East Bay Street, lined up with 5 Church Restaurant over there where that steeple is. That's a restaurant. Coming all the way across over to where basically where that white car is parked was where Eliza's garden sat. and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So, who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Do you guys see why we look for secondary verifiers now? Because I need to know which Chuck we're chatting with. So again, we never know. However, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than everybody here. So we're going to move on to Eliza. She has a much cooler story anyway. Eliza, she married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So we're talking 1700s. So when you ask her how old she was when she got married, you will not hear answers like 12 and 14. You're going to hear numbers according to what we would consider young today. The reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age. Kind of a creepy age gap back then, kind of a creepy age gap now. So just kind of keep that in mind. But she married Charles because her father was over in England, because that's where they're from, and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home so he can see them one last time before he dies. Well, Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she got married instead. Yes, I know, kind of creepy. But it's 1744, and you don't get married in 1744 because you need a green card or citizenship. We're not a country yet. So she did marry Charles out of love. And even after Charles died, because remember, he's over double her age, she remained a widow. So before you guys start poking those questions, yeah, she did remain a widow. She was truly in love with this guy. But she was correct. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he gets better, and he starts sending Eliza gifts to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least an hour or so that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere around town. Now, indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. Yes, I'm staring at everybody's pants, and looks like Elizabeth's the only one that's wearing it tonight. Ding, 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 winner. So, I had to make sure I had her attention. You okay? I see you holding something. Okay, I'll make sure. Again, things can happen. Health is first important. But anyway, she didn't know what to do with these indigo seeds when she got them. She had to learn from her slaves and how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here. Popular to disbelief. But at any rate, once she figured it out, she experimented with it here, moved it to another plantation, then calls her dad up over in England, didn't call him, no phones, and says, their rice plantations are going downhill. We can actually make a killing with this indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. You gotta see me during Women's History Month. I see you nodding that head. Yeah, that's right, girl power.
Baby. I don't know if that's...
It is relevant. We're gonna get to that. Well, you guys are gonna get to that. So, with that said...
Oh my god, I heard baby also.
You both heard
Just
baby?
now.
Let me know if you guys hear any names. Find out which the baby's names are. Give me the camera and we'll see how cold it actually is. It's not going to say anything on a full party of 10. I break out lasers so that way we can detect motion. However, the lasers are a boring part of my tour, so we're not going to be using those tonight. But the hope here is that we're going to be able to see orbs that are going to be flying through here. We're going to capture a lot of footage. This does record audio as well, the same way Heidi's does. So again, this one is very interesting. And again, we never really know what's going to pop out of this until we do the full review. Not a whole lot is caught in real time. So Tim, this one's going to go to you. Just wow. Where did I get Tim from? There's no Tim here.
He's the Tin Man.
Okay.
Just call me Michael too if you want. That's Mike's guy.
He'll go by anything. Just
glad he
don't call him
corrected me,
late,
though.
right?
Just don't call me late for dinner. I'll be fine.
You just told me you only ate once a day.
That's
So
why I
we're not
said
supposed
don't.
to call you late for dinner.
That's why you're not
That's why
supposed to
you
call
don't
me late for
yeah,
dinner.
that's right.
Spirit boxes. We're going to be using a lot of these tonight. They all do something a little bit different than the next one. So spirit boxes, if you're unfamiliar with them, is basically like the radio sweeper, the white noise they give you on your TV shows, and then the host will tell you the bullshit he thinks he heard in the middle of it, showing you the same thing. Yeah, we're going to be doing that in real time. However, my devices are set up a lot different because nobody here is trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours. Again, with all the history I'm going to give you and white noise, somebody's going to fall asleep. So that's just kind of how that's going to go. So this one is slowed down on purpose. Sorry, this explanation usually needs like 2 or 3 times unless I make sure I focus on it. We are allowing the radio chatter to come through. That's what we're listening for. So the song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials, that's what we're listening for. If you hear Dream On by Aerosmith, I want to know that you heard Dream On by Aerosmith. And exactly the lyric that he said. If you heard Welcome to Charleston, I want to know that you heard Welcome to Charleston. The cool thing is that Daniel's going to be Daniel, whichever one he wants to go by, whichever one I choose. He's going to have an earbud in, so he's going to be the only one to hear it in real time. However, this one's recording the entire session for us. You all are going to get the recording back tomorrow morning. I will be writing down whatever Danny hears in real time, plus I will spot check this to give you about 15 to 25 more markers based on what I hear. So some of those markers might not mean anything. Again, it's just training the rest of you on how to listen to the entire recording, because I'm not going to do that for you. So again, I'm just giving you the weird things that I find that might pop up through the radio stations. Think of this thing as Bumblebee from Transformers. So he doesn't have a voice box. Their ghosts are using the radio and DJs to be able to talk to us. So this is one of the biggest parts of finding evidence through our entire night. This is going to link a lot of things together. I don't want earbuds back, because no offense, Danny, but your earwax is gross. And you get to keep that. The volume button for this is the only thing you need to worry about, because it's already recording. I already have it set up. There's a volume wheel right here. I'm making sure it's turned all the way down, so that way when you put your earbud in, you don't get blasted. All right, so who else fully understands what I just said about that spirit box?
All of us.
All right.
Oh, you don't? Oh.
So we're going to give you the next one.
Fully understands it.
We're going to give you the next one. However, yours, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Look at me go.
Good job.
Once I get his, I'll figure it out. So yours, however,
Unless you
is
guess.
not going to record. So with that said, I'm going to be relying on you in real time to be able to write it down so I can put it in everybody's notes tomorrow morning. So there's no SD card in this one, only in Danny's. So with that said, again, you know the drill with earwax, it's nasty. Your wheel is right here at the very top. I'm going to turn it all the way down, so that way you can put it in your ear and you won't hear anything until you turn the volume up. This spirit box. Kathy. You don't have to listen to anything. Lucky you. You have an easy spirit box. This is going to replace what you guys would know as an obelisk on TV. So this is going to give us words from time to time in the middle of the screen. So the cool thing about this one is that it has 36,000 terms and phrases in its dictionary. Your obelisk that you guys see on TV only has 2,048. We're using 18 times the amount of dictionary that they have on television. However, this is a phone app. 80% of this is going to be bullshit and not mean anything. So again, we're going to rule out a lot of that BS, even though I'm going to give you guys the entire list of everything that it finds for us. Now, last night's tour, we actually had 73 terms show up, so that's been about the average, about 75. I'm going to clear them out. The cool thing is that this thing will give me timestamps, so that way I know exactly where we were, and that way I know where to listen to a spirit box, watch a video, whatever the case might have, you can see if something else is going on, relevance to where we were. So I don't want to see every word that pops up, otherwise we're going to be out here till 4 in the morning. I will come to you when I want to see the list. That's the little white button to the right of the middle of the screen, and then just circle back. So 2 little simple buttons. You got this.
Yep, play button, circle back. That way button, that way button. Just kidding.
Elizabeth, was it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, look at me. Got most of you. Still got to figure this out.
What do you think he's going to say?
I have no idea. It's not going to be Tim. I know that. I still can't remember. You're killing me, dude. What is it?
It's Ray.
Ray?
Yeah, Ray. R-A-Y.
Got it. What's weird? Okay,
Like
this
a
is going to
ray
be
of
easy now,
light.
because my father's name,
Oh, okay.
Danny Ray. That's his name. So, see how I do that? I'm a writer, guys. You guys are all characters to me.
Yeah.
I got to figure something out. So, Elizabeth, you're
Yes,
going to be
sir.
my multitasker. You
Sounds
told me
good.
you're a Marine, so I'm giving you a lot to do. So, you talked about those little K2 meters with the blinky lights. I have one. We don't always use it, especially when we have a smaller group. We're going to be measuring electromagnetic fields with this guy.
That
So-
was not your advice. That was my
It's all
wallet.
protected anyway. Is that your phone? Is it okay?
You know, it's my wallet.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So the top numbers are going to be the electromagnetic field readings, EMF. So we're going to be looking for anything above 2.5. Why? Because the blinky one that you guys normally see on TV, the first green dot on this guy is 2.5. So we want anything above that to try to debunk things right off the top. So the bottom number is ambient temperature. So in the events that Heidi finds something on her camera, you and I can debunk it or prove it with this little yellow probe at the top. The last thing that it has a motion sensor built into it. So if anything gets close to the antenna that I just pulled out, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it right now. There's different colors and different sounds that come out of that, and you and I are going to talk about that 2 stops from now at the first time we use it. But for now, I just want you to focus on the red screen, so that way you can kind of get used to how those numbers move around.
Sounds
You
good.
carry the bag, right?
Oh, I love it.
Let's see, what do we want to give you? What's in the Santa bag? The latest spirit box that
Coal.
we have.
You got coal.
Yeah.
You got coal.
Should have been good.
So, this spirit box works completely different than all of the others. It is going to sweep through both the FM and AM radio stations at the same time.
Oh, okay.
It is also going to try to take out the noise that Jeremy and Danny are listening to in between the stations and only give you words.
Oh, okay.
That is the hope. Now, you're only going to hear about 10 to 12 words out of this thing the entire night. Again, 10 to 12, but this is the most accurate spirit box we have.
Cool.
This thing's normally about 75% accurate.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the only thing you need to worry about is how to hold it and where the mute button is.
Okay.
The very top is where the blinking lights are. On your right-hand side, when you're looking at it, is a mute button. It's the only button there. So I have it on mute now because, again, we're not going to be safe to unmute until we get past the ponies at the next stop. So, again, just to kind of give you a gist of what it actually sounds like and what everybody else is listening for. Very, very faint. So, again, it's going to be a matter of, like, what can we actually get out of that? Okay. So sometimes it might be, like, you got to get it close to your ear. That one goes to you, sir.
Cool.
All right. Ladies in charge, let me know what happens. Okay. So, welcome to Big John's. This is one of the reasons why we start here is because the place is haunted, of course.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
That's why we've already heard things, or what?
This is not vodka, that's not White Pop, it's the Dasani. They use salt in their water. Although vodka will probably do salt in their water,
Right.
So, Big John's. This place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. He owned the place. By the way, people do not like their apartments to be filmed.
Huh, all right, let's not do that then.
Yeah, because those are apartments up there.
Okay.
He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Now, whenever I'm giving you the history of a location or building, I will always do my best to slow down on specific keywords based on the 4 spirit boxes we're using tonight. So, the keywords here are going to be 47, New York, Giants, and anything related to a bar, obviously. But here's what happened here and why it's haunted. John used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender of the cadets coming over from the Citadel if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they weren't old enough to drink. He has a bartender throw them out. They leave pretty angry. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, he slams down his beer, and he just starts pounding on these guys, beating the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. John's been the only one that's been shot, by the way. What is with all the golf clubs? Seriously. But John's been the only one that's been shot. He goes back to the bar, and he tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, and ambulance. And normally if I tell you a building is haunted, you automatically think of some kind of tragic death. What's haunting this place is that bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. I say that because this new renovation of Big John's may have filled it in. But that doesn't mean that Big John's blood is still not present inside this building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is the heated warning. Fingers crossed, we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight, because I told you, I can't make the ghost do anything. If anybody feels any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately, but we will blame it on the heat and humidity first. I'm not here to say everything's paranormal. I'm not that guy. But, again, it does happen where people have passed out on this tour in the past. So, again, it's very important so that way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. All right. Figured as much. You guys all seem like you're pretty in tune with what we're about to do. That's good. Mm-hmm. So, let's get our minds off our own health. Same building. Have you guys taken any Charleston history tours at all?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So, you still would have heard about our big earthquake, right?
Yes.
Okay, because every tour guide talks about it.
The little circles in the wall.
Yep, earthquake bolts. 1860. Now you got 18. Got me off. 18. God, what year was that? Now you got me off for that.
Maybe 2 years.
Oh my God, we had a bigger 1886. That's what it was. I had to go through my little spiel there. So, big earthquake here in 1886. It's a big deal for us because we're not supposed to have earthquakes, right? We're supposed to have hurricanes. We're in South Carolina. So, this building is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front. They say a piece of it broke off during the earthquake, hit somebody in the back of the head, and killed them.